Welcome to Streaming News Network by Claude McDaniel. News without the hype and biased reporting. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Karen Reed, the Massachusetts woman acquitted of murder charges in the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, is now taking legal action against the town of Canton and the Massachusetts State Police. An 87-page lawsuit filed in Bristol Superior Court accuses both agencies of fostering a culture of misconduct, bias, and institutional failure during the investigation into O'Keefe's 2022 death. The lawsuit cites a series of offensive text messages allegedly exchanged between former state trooper Michael Proctor and former Canton Police Sergeant Sean Good. Court filings claim the messages contain derogatory remarks about Reed and others, raising questions about professionalism and impartiality during the investigation. Reed's attorneys argue the conduct demonstrates a broader pattern of bias and corruption within the agencies. They claim officials failed to address misconduct and allowed investigators who were unfit for their roles to remain involved in the case. Massachusetts State Police Colonel Jeffrey Noble condemned the messages, calling them racist, sexist, and unacceptable. Noble said the comments supported the decision to terminate Proctor from the agency. Reed was acquitted of murder and manslaughter charges after prosecutors alleged she struck O'Keefe with her sport utility vehicle and left him outside during a snowstorm. Her defense team successfully argued she was not responsible for his death. The lawsuit comes shortly after Sean Good resigned from the Canton Police Department amid a separate misconduct investigation. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton is expected to plead guilty in a federal case involving the mishandling of classified national security information. According to reports, Bolton has agreed to plead guilty to one count of illegal retention of sensitive national security documents and is expected to pay a fine exceeding $2 million. The charge carries a possible prison sentence of up to 5 years, although a federal judge will determine any final punishment during a hearing scheduled for June 26. Federal prosecutors previously accused Bolton of improperly retaining classified information and sharing more than 1,000 pages of records detailing his day-to-day activities through a personal email account. Investigators alleged the information was sent to 2 unauthorized individuals believed to be family members. The plea agreement follows an 18-count federal indictment handed down in October 2025. The broader case centered on allegations that Bolton unlawfully retained and transmitted sensitive national defense information after leaving government service. Bolton served as National Security Advisor during President Donald Trump's first administration before later becoming one of Trump's most outspoken critics. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. A California jury has awarded $176 million to the family of 2 young brothers who were killed in a tragic crash involving Los Angeles socialite Rebecca Grossman. Jurors found both Grossman and former Major League Baseball pitcher Scott Erickson liable for the deaths of 11-year-old Mark Iskander and 8-year-old Jacob Iskander. The verdict determined that both were negligent in connection with the fatal incident and awarded substantial damages to the boys' family. The jury's decision also leaves the door open for additional punitive damages against Grossman, with that amount to be determined separately. The case stems from a September 2020 crash in which Grossman's sport utility vehicle struck the 2 brothers as they crossed the street in a marked crosswalk in Southern California. In 2024, Grossman was convicted of murder and sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. Prosecutors argued that she was speeding and racing with Erickson when the collision occurred. Earlier this year, a California appeals court rejected Grossman's attempt to overturn her conviction, ensuring she remains incarcerated under her current sentence. The civil verdict marks another major legal setback for Grossman and a significant victory for the Iskander family as they continue to seek accountability for the loss of their 2 sons. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Federal authorities have arrested a Southern California technology executive accused of illegally supplying American computer equipment to entities connected to Iran's military and nuclear programs. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, 63-year-old Jamshid Gomi, a dual United States and Iranian citizen from Newport Coast, was taken into custody following an investigation into an alleged decade-long scheme to export sophisticated networking, security, and encryption technology to Iran in violation of U.S. sanctions laws. Prosecutors allege Gomi used a network of companies and intermediaries to acquire American-made technology and route it to Iranian customers, including organizations linked to the country's military and nuclear operations. Authorities claim he earned millions of dollars through the alleged scheme. Federal agents arrested Gomi at his multi-million-dollar Newport Coast residence. He has been charged with conspiracy to violate federal sanctions laws and could face significant prison time if convicted. Federal officials say the case underscores ongoing efforts to prevent sensitive American technology from reaching foreign adversaries and organizations subject to U.S. sanctions. Gomi is scheduled to make his initial court appearance in federal court in Santa Ana. This is J. Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Federal officials have announced a major crackdown on alleged government fraud in Ohio, unsealing criminal charges against 14 individuals accused of stealing more than $50 million from taxpayer-funded programs. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche unveiled the indictments during a Thursday news conference, describing the case as part of a broader effort to combat fraud involving Medicaid, home healthcare services, autism treatment programs, and pandemic relief funds. Officials say some of the defendants include state employees and healthcare providers accused of exploiting public assistance programs for personal gain. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz said the alleged schemes cost taxpayers millions of dollars and undermined services intended for vulnerable Americans. As part of the enforcement effort, federal authorities announced the suspension of 49 Ohio home healthcare providers identified as high risk. A 6-month moratorium has also been placed on new home healthcare and hospice providers in the state while investigators continue their review. In addition, the Small Business Administration reported that more than 27,000 Ohio borrowers have been suspended from federal programs due to suspected fraud involving over $1 billion in Paycheck Protection Program loans. Federal and state officials say new partnerships and data sharing initiatives are being launched to identify and prevent future fraud schemes. This is J. Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network. A Florida lottery compliance investigation has led to allegations that a convenience store clerk in Panama City improperly kept a winning lottery ticket and later sold it for personal profit. According to lottery officials, the incident occurred during an undercover compliance check involving a $1,000 test scratch-off ticket. Investigators say the clerk, identified as Rohail Khan, failed to return the winning ticket as required and instead allegedly sold the claim to another individual for $800. The case came to light when the winning ticket resurfaced at Florida Lottery headquarters in Tallahassee, where a man attempted to collect the prize. During questioning, the claimant reportedly told investigators he had purchased the ticket from Khan. Authorities say Khan later admitted to selling the claim associated with the ticket. Florida lottery officials emphasized that retailers are entrusted with strict procedures designed to protect players and preserve public confidence in the lottery system. They warn that violations can undermine trust and potentially impact funding for state education programs, including Bright Futures scholarships. Officials say the case highlights the importance of ongoing compliance operations aimed at detecting and preventing misconduct within the lottery system. This is J. Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier has suffered a major legal and financial setback after an arbitrator ruled that he violated his contract with the team, potentially costing him most of his $26.6 million salary for the 2025 through 2026 season. The ruling stems from Rozier's ongoing federal criminal case involving an alleged sports gambling scheme. According to court filings, the arbitrator found that restrictions placed on Rozier as part of his pretrial release prevented him from fulfilling his contractual obligations to play for the Heat. Rozier has pleaded not guilty to all allegations. Prosecutors accuse him of participating in a betting-related conspiracy and recently added charges that include sports bribery and conspiracy to commit honest services wire fraud. Federal authorities allege Rozier accepted $100,000 in exchange for providing advance information to bettors about plans to leave a March 2023 game early because of an injury while playing for the Charlotte Hornets. Rozier's attorney is now seeking changes to the conditions of his release, arguing that restrictions on contact with Hornets personnel could effectively prevent him from signing with another National Basketball Association team during free agency. Rozier is expected to be arraigned on the new charges next week and is expected to enter a plea of not guilty. This is J. Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A New Jersey law enforcement officer has been charged with theft after authorities say he stole thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment belonging to a photojournalist who was injured while covering protests outside an immigration detention facility. According to state investigators, Sergeant Darrell Brown of the Essex County Prosecutor's Office is accused of taking camera gear valued at approximately $10,000 from photojournalist Angelina Katsanis while she was receiving medical attention after being injured during a clash between demonstrators and police outside Delaney Hall in Newark. Authorities say Katsanis had left her equipment bag, clearly marked with her name and contact information, near the scene after suffering a leg injury. Using an electronic tracking device attached to the gear, she was later able to trace its location to a residence linked to Brown. Investigators say body camera footage showed Brown interacting with the bag, and a subsequent search of his home allegedly uncovered several missing items, some still bearing the journalist's identifying information. Brown has been charged with third-degree theft and has been suspended without pay pending the outcome of the case. The protests outside the Newark Detention Center have centered on immigration policies and conditions inside the facility, which has become a focal point for ongoing demonstrations in recent months. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A Republican-led House committee investigating the federal handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case has referred 2 men to the Department of Justice for possible criminal prosecution following testimony from an alleged survivor of abuse. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer announced that former Miami Beach Mayor Philip Levine and celebrity hairstylist Frederick Fekkai were referred after lawmakers interviewed Epstein's former assistant, Sarah Kellen, in May. According to committee officials, Kellen provided new allegations concerning abuse she claims occurred during her association with Epstein and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. Lawmakers say the information was significant enough to warrant a formal referral to federal prosecutors for further review. Committee members urged the Justice Department to use all available investigative tools to examine the allegations and determine whether criminal charges are appropriate. Levine has denied the accusations through a spokesperson, who stated that any past relationship involving the parties was consensual and that allegations of wrongdoing are false. Representatives for Fekkai have not publicly responded. It is important to note that neither man has been charged with a crime related to the Epstein investigation, and a congressional referral is not evidence of guilt. Any determination of criminal conduct will be made by federal investigators and prosecutors.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and shorts. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.